All right, comic book collectors, let's talk about something that's kind of a sensitive topic. People have very different opinions about protecting their comic books. One thing I see a lot from a lot of people in the community is they don't like any kind of encapsulation. They don't like to slab their comic books. Then you also have other people that don't like CGC or they don't like CBCS. On the other hand, you have people that are critical of the types of cases and the protection that those cases offer from those companies. So let's talk about one of the alternatives out there, Gator guard cases. So yeah, this is a Gator guard case. This is a like acrylic hard plastic case. It's actually much harder than the CGC or CBCS slabs. Also, another thing you might notice about this is that it has the Bronze Age Nerd corner box logo in here. And I am Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd. I'll go ahead and roll in a little photo so you can see this a little bit better. And that is the corner box laser etched onto the acrylic case right up here. It's kind of right in there. And that is pretty nifty. I want to disclose something right away. These cases, I got 2 of these. These were supplied by Gator Guard cases for free for review on the channel. Now, if you know me and you know the channel, you know one thing that I make absolutely clear with any sponsors is if they provide a product like this, that I am going to be 100% honest with my viewers, completely separate from the fact that this was a free product. And I'll admit, I was excited when I got my hands on some to kind of see the build quality and see what they're like. And there are some really impressive things here. So let's talk about what these are. First of all, as I mentioned before, they're this really high quality, I can knock on it there for you. Hear that? That's a very solid knock, and that's something you're not going to experience with a CGC case. CGC cases are very flimsy. Top loaders are much more flimsy. CBCS slabs are actually pretty sturdy, but even those, there's a slight amount of flex that I would say definitely is not present here. This is pretty tight. You can see the seals on the side there. There's no visible gap. You can see the kind of general thickness of it there. It's thinner than the CGC slabs for sure. It's a little bit thinner than the CBCS slab as well. Obviously, you don't have as much of a header up here because there's no label. And then you could tighten down the screws a little bit more if you wanted to. I didn't really want to tighten them down super hard, but they're tight enough that nothing's wiggling in there. That's pretty cool. There's basically, a well on one side. You put the book in it, and then the other side is kind of more of a flat plate, more or less, that has the cavity for the book, and it all fits in there. Now, I will say in my testing, I noticed I had like a Bronze Age comic book, an Uncanny X-Men 137, that I went to put in here, and it had a bit of a spine roll on it. That book is also a square-bound book, and there's no way you could put that comic book in this case safely. So you do have to kind of, fit the book in and then make sure that there's enough room on each side. This is a modern style, current style case, but I also have one of their Silver Age cases here, and you can see my logo a little bit better on that one. That one's in the middle. It's in the corner on the other one, but that is, a larger well in that to accommodate a Silver Age book. Now, one of the clear benefits that I think of with this is definitely more a protection focused case. A lot of people talk about, I'll just use CGC. They're the most common company out there. A lot of people talk about protecting their comic books with CGC cases. CGC cases really don't come across to me as being very good in the protection department. I would prefer to use like high quality eGerber Mylar bags and their thicker boards, the fullback boards or something like that. Even maybe a couple of those on a really nice book. Or you could go with the 80-point clear backing boards that are like the heavy acrylic backing boards. I know like Comic Pro line makes those. You could use some of those, and that would offer better protection than a CGC case, in my opinion, as long as you take good care of it. The other thing is it does prevent more, I think probably more actual physical protection. Like if I drop this, I'd feel a lot more safe with this case than I would a CGC case. I'd feel more confident if this were to fall. So this material that these cases are made from is designed to offer some UV protection. Now, unfortunately, I did ask the person that got in contact with me from Gator Guard cases about these, hey, how much UV protection does this offer? And there's really no solid testing. Apparently about 80% of blockage is kind of the rough estimate. Now, that said, take a CGC case, for example. It offers essentially no protection. There's people that say it offers literally zero protection. That's actually not true. It does provide a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of protection because technically it's going to diffuse and reflect some of the light coming at it, but it's essentially negligible. You should never display CGC books in direct light. Hey, wait a minute. Those are CGC cases and a CBCS case, and I have them, and they're on a wall, and that wall doesn't really get a whole lot of direct light. I also change out those books every couple of months. Nothing really stays up there for very long, and I'm pretty confident with the amount of light that they collect it being pretty safe, all things considered. Anyways, so basically the point here is you can't really say exactly how much UV protection you're getting out of these, but it's guaranteed to be more than like a CGC or CBCS case, for example. Here's another sneaky consideration. So say I have, some of these lined up, and I create a display option with them, and I want to have them all displayed. They're going to create a nice uniform, fairly low profile option. There's not a lot of, there's no label, there's nothing really distracting you from the comic book. The laser etching thing on there, that is completely optional. That's something they did because they knew they were sending them to me, and they said, hey, can we put your logo on here? I said, sure, that's fine. The only thing that is on the case is that right there. You see the Gator Guard logo, and that makes sense, right? I have to differentiate that it's their product. Other than that, it is, pretty non-discrete. Oh, the other thing too is you can get different screws. So for example, I have the blue screws on there. I have some pink purple ones for the other set. And I will show you the installation of those in a second. You can also get black. You can get different colors if you want to switch it out for different books. You can get the hardware separately from the case. It does include a set of screws. By the way, the other thing that's kind of nice is it includes shipping and tax. So when you go to their website to order, all that's included in the price. I like that. But why does a uniform case matter? Why do I mention that? Well, there's a lot of people that use like frames or different kinds of comic, case frames basically. And they find them on places like Etsy, or they'll find them on eBay or different places, or people custom make them. And then if that person stops making them after a while, you can't go back and find them. You can't find an exact match most of the time for what you were using before. Gator Guard's been around for a few years, so I have some faith that they're going to stick around and you'll be able to match those cases. Before I get to the cons of these cases, let me show you some demonstrations of installing a comic book into one of the Gator Guard cases. I'm going to use the Silver Age case, but I'm actually just going to slap a New Mutants Annual #2 in it, mostly because I don't think I have a Silver Age comic that's pristine enough. Most of my Silver Age comics are rather low grade, and that's fine with me because I'm a low grade collector. That's totally okay. But the principle of the installation is the same, and I'll show you how it works. All right, so here we have the Gator Guard case. You can kind of see it a little bit better here. Got the corner box logo there. So this is the second one, and this one he did the laser etching in the middle with my logo there. That's really cool. And this is how they come. You have the bottom well, and you have the top, and you get this little kit of rivets, and he sends a guitar pick. Now, as I understand it, there's going to be a different, like, little nylon tool that'll come with these. But there's your little pick you can use as a tool, and there's your little rivets. So I'll show you putting in a book. I'm going to put in this copy of New Mutants Annual #2, first appearance of Psylocke, where she becomes Psylocke. So you can see putting the book in, really easy. You insert it like that. Here I have my hardware, and one end goes through one side, screw end goes through the other side. I just sort of hand crank that a few turns just to get it in place. But once I have those kind of just loosely set up, now comes the part where you got to tighten it down. And here's where I'm excited to hear that there's a nylon tool. I hope it fits a little bit better, because the slot for the guitar pick that's included here is a little finicky. I mean, like, it's wobbling around a lot. You can see it's like wanting to slide out. And I could just, this is what came with it, so I want to use that. I could just use a screwdriver that fits the slot a little bit better. But I want to use the tool that came with it. And then the other part of it is, I don't want to scratch the plastic or the finish on the screw or the plastic on the case. So if you used a metal tipped screwdriver, that could be a problem. All right. So there you have it. You got, I think that looks pretty cool with the colors there. And of course, the different color options are one of the nice customizable features there. But that's pretty cool. So And of course, if you don't like the logo being in the middle there, that's optional. You don't have to have that at all. Or you could have put that on the back of the book, which that is nice. You can display the back of the book very nicely. So that's pretty cool. There you go. All right, so let's talk about some of the cons about this product, because as fun as it is, as interesting as it is, and it works for some of its intended purposes very well, there are some serious negative aspects here. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is cost. So a 2-pack of cases, and this could be modern or Silver Age, they're going to run you 2 for $45. Now, again, that does include shipping and tax, which is nice. I'm sure we're all used to it, right? You go to order one comic book online and suddenly you're adding $8 shipping or whatever it might be on top of that, or more if it's a slab. So luckily it does include the shipping. That's nice. For 2 for $45, you're actually getting pretty close to the cost of grading 2 comic books. So if you send those comic books off to CGC or CBCS or any of the main companies, then you're kind of looking at about the same price. And not only that, you've probably already increased the value of your comic book, if that matters to you, as far as what people will perceive it based on the grade in most cases. Second drawback is, and this is true of all these cases, I mean, CGC cases collect scratches like crazy, but these do collect some scratches. Now, I've actually had these for a while. Some things have prevented me from making this video, but you can see there are some scratches and some scuffs. Now, a lot of that is smudges from fingerprint handling, which they do collect, and I could wipe that clean with a microfiber cloth. I did that for this one before I filmed, so honestly, you probably can not really tell, but it's pretty good. Like you don't see much of the fingerprints or the smudges when I'm looking at it. Yeah, I don't see much of that at all because I wiped it clean, and you could do that again, periodically to clean the case. But it does collect micro scratches. There is that cost piece we talked about, and there's more drawbacks. So to me, the installation tool, as you noticed during my installation, the guitar pick, not the perfect tool. Now, there is that nylon tool that was in development. I'm not sure if that's shipping with new units or not. It's a proprietary nylon tool. It should work a lot better, I would assume. And again, you could use a screwdriver as long as you're careful and you don't want, slip out of the slot. That would be totally fine. I think you could get away with that pretty easily. But this sort of like binding post screw that screws into a barrel, that is a little tedious to do over and over. If you're doing a bunch of these at once, you're probably going to get really tired, especially if you're using the guitar pick method. Honestly, like I've switched out comics and these a couple times, and it's not a very enjoyable experience, but that is a one-time thing, and I don't know, maybe that's just me. The last thing is, and this is, again, maybe personal preference, but the thing that I think of as soon as I have this in hand instantly, it's maybe because, this is a gorgeous cover. I love this Dave Stevens cover. Something like this, I want to put it up on the wall. And there's no included way or method to mount this. Now, there are plenty of ways you could mount this on the wall. You could easily get like a J channel. You could use 3M command strips. You could use the same type of CGC holders, slab holders that I'm using up there. Those would work pretty well for this because those adjust and they could clamp down. I'm pretty sure that would work really well. But for the price, I almost feel like there should be some sort of mounting option. Even something like, maybe 4 different like mirror style brackets or something like that hold it on the wall. I don't really know exactly what the best solution would be, but I feel like something maybe should be included for that price. Yeah, on the topic of price, I just want to say this too. I'm under the understanding, like doing a tiny bit of research, I'm not a materials expert, but doing a tiny bit of research on the actual material that they're using here, it does seem like it's pretty expensive material. So I think that goes a lot into the cost. They're using good materials. So in certain circumstances, I do think that I believe in the philosophy of buy once, cry once. In other words, it's expensive. It's expensive, but you're going to get a good quality out of it, and it's going to last a long time. And I think that does apply to this. If that's something that's important to you, consider that. But in this case, see what I did there? In this case, I don't necessarily think that these are a solution that I would use over and over and over again for display or something like that. Because of the cost, I'd almost rather have a graded collectible when I'm at that price point. But if I had a comic book that I wanted to keep raw, that I wanted to be able to open easily and still read, this is something that I would definitely have to consider. I think that there's a lot to be said for that. And more importantly, I know a lot of you out there do not want to slab your books, do not want to get them graded, don't want to support CGC, various different things that you think are important when it comes to how you store your collectibles. So that's my review of the Gator Guard cases. The last thing I want to add is if you think the corner box is cool and you think the Bronze Age Nerd logo is cool on there, you can actually go ahead and request that from Gator Guard cases. It's the same, I believe, the same price as the add-on that they normally have for any etch logos, which is an additional $5 per case. And if you want to do that, you can do that. I don't get anything from that. It's not like like I'm getting a kickback on that, but I did give them permission to use the logo as far as customers requesting that on their cases. So if that's something that's interesting to you, that's an option. I'd be really thankful to see what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about these Gator Guard cases. Speaking of thanking people, I want to thank all my channel members. There's a list of them on the screen right now. Those people make this channel so much more successful because I'm able to do things like get subscriptions to services that I use for some of my videos or that I use for live streaming, and that is extremely helpful to me. We do all kinds of fun things. We have special sections on the Discord. We have movie watch-alongs, special emojis you can use in chat, giveaways we do. Pretty fun stuff. So if that's something that's interesting to you, consider hitting the join button down below. Thanks for checking out another one of my videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, I want to remind you, as always, hey, 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 hey. Read comics every day.